Every shot you just saw was directed individually inside Higgsfield's new Cinema Studio 2.0, and this video proves that we are finally moving past those short random clips and into full multi-shot scenes where characters actually stay consistent. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I built this entire scene from scratch. Now, Higgsfield Cinema Studio has been around for a while, and the original version already did things differently from other AI video tools. You'd set up a virtual camera rig, generate an image, and then animate that image into a video. And that whole foundation is still here. What 2.0 adds is everything that happens around it. On the image side, you can now enter any generated image as a 3D scene and walk around inside it to find the exact angle you want. There's also a new grid mode that generates up to 16 variations at once in a 4x4 layout, so you can compare options side by side before you commit to anything. On the video side, the big addition is multi-shot control. Instead of generating one clip, you can now direct up to 6 individual shots within a single 12-second generation. Each shot gets its own prompt, its own camera movement, and its own timing. On top of that, there's a new director's panel where you import characters and assign each one a specific emotion that carries through the whole scene. And there's genre selection that changes how the AI handles pacing and motion based on whether you're making an action scene, a horror scene, a comedy, or something else entirely. And the last big one is M-frame chaining, which lets you pull the final frame from one generation and use it as the start frame for the next one, so you can keep extending your footage past the 12-second cap. That's a lot of new tools in one update. So instead of just listing what they do, I'm going to build a full cinematic sequence from scratch so you can see exactly how all of it fits together. Inside Higgsfield, I'll open the Cinema Studio 2.0 tab at the top, and the first thing I need to do is create the main character as a reference element so he stays the same across every shot. In the Image tab, I'll press the Add button, click Create New Element, and upload 4 reference angles of the character. Once I press Create, he's saved, and I can mention him in any prompt by typing at followed by his name. Cinema Studio pulls in his persona automatically. Now I'll paste in my scene prompt describing the fight. But before I generate, I'm going to adjust the camera settings. Cinema Studio 2.0 lets you build a virtual camera rig where you pick a camera body, a lens type, your focal length, and your aperture. What all of that controls in plain terms is how wide or tight the shot looks, how much background blur you get, and the overall feel of the image. You can build a custom setup if you know exactly what you want, or just pick from the recommended presets. For this shot, I want a wide cinematic look with a blurred background, so I'll pick this preset. I'll also switch to the new 4x4 grid mode, set the ratio to 16:9, and max the quality to 4K. That gives me 16 versions of this image at once, so I can pick the best one instead of generating them one at a time. And out of these 16 images, I'm going to use this one because the composition and the lighting are exactly what I want for the opening shot. Now I'll use 3D scene access. I'll press Generate 3D Scene on this image, and it opens up a view where I can move around inside the image and adjust my angle in real time. So if I want a lower camera or a wider frame, I just find it here. Once I land on something I like, I press Capture Shot, and that becomes my hero frame. This is what Higgsfield calls the hero frame first approach, and the idea is that you lock in your lighting, composition, and character details in an image first so that it maintains that exact look when you animate it. So I'll click on this hero frame, press animate, and select it as my start frame. The image is loaded into the video tab and ready to go. Now sure, getting a good start frame matters, but what Cinema Studio 2.0 allows you to do with that frame is what got me genuinely excited, because that is where the true potential of this update really kicks in. By the way, if you want to try Cinema Studio yourself, I've left a link to Higgsfield in the description below. Cinema Studio 2.0 brought in multi-shot capabilities, and when I click on the mode selector, I get 3 options that basically offer different levels of control. First is single shot, which you use when you just need one specific clip or a quick loop. Then there is multi-shot auto, which is perfect if you want to write one prompt and let the AI act as the director to build a cinematic sequence for you. And finally, multi-shot manual, which is what you use when you have a very specific vision and need to control the exact timing and camera work yourself. For this scene, I'm going with multi-shot manual, and when I select that, I can see these boxes appear on the timeline, and each one is an individual shot that I can configure separately. I can have up to 6 of these within a 12-second runtime, and I can split the duration however I want. So one shot could be 3 seconds and another could be 1, as long as they add up to 12. Each box gets its own prompt, camera movement, and speed ramp setting. This allows me to treat every shot in the sequence as a unique event with a completely different look and feel. Before I build those out, I need to open the director's panel. This is where I import the characters and set up props for this scene. I'll add our main character, the girl right here, and the earthbenders here. And this is where it gets really interesting, because each character I import can be assigned an emotion. So I click on my main character, and I can choose from hope, anger, fear, and a whole range of other emotions. And these actually carry through to generation. They shape the facial expressions and body language the AI gives each character. I'm setting our main character to trust, so he looks completely unfazed by this fight. The Earthbenders get anger, and the girl gets surprise. Being able to emotionally direct individual characters inside an AI video generator is something I haven't seen anywhere else, and it completely changes the quality of the final shot. I also need to pick a genre for the overall generation, and I'll go with action. This affects the pacing and the motion energy across all 6 shots, so if I picked horror instead, the exact same prompts would produce creeping tension and much slower, unsettling camera movements. Now I'll set up the shots. When I click into the first box and expand the camera movement tab, the list is massive. You have everything from standard pans and tilts to complex crane moves, orbits, and drone shots. That is actually more camera control than most traditional video editing gives you, and each shot can use a completely different one. For the first prompt, I'll type wide aerial view of the stone courtyard. Earthbenders in formation, launching a massive boulder toward that main character who stands calmly in the center. Dust and debris flying, intense battle atmosphere. I'll set the camera to a drone shot and lock the duration at 2 seconds. For the speed ramp, I'm going with impact. This is my favorite setting because it creates a sudden hit of slow motion right at the moment of contact, which is exactly what I need for this boulder catch. From here, I'll build out the remaining 5 shots. The sequence goes from that wide establishing shot, where our character catches the boulder with one hand, then a static shot, where he pulls out his phone while the boulder just hovers there, then a camera follows shot, where the boulder destroys a wall, a dolly-in on the girl's reaction, and finally a jib up on the entire scene. I'll hit generate, and here's what we get. That looks really good. It's 6 distinct shots, but they flow together perfectly. The characters actually stayed consistent with the right emotions, and that impact ramp on the catch adds exactly the kind of weight the scene needed to sell the moment. 12 seconds of directed footage is already more than what most AI video generators give you in a single generation, but the scene I have in mind has a whole second act with a villain reaction, an aftermath, and a completely different emotional tone, and Cinema Studio 2.0 has a new feature that lets me keep building from exactly where this left off. Each generation in Cinema Studio caps at 12 seconds, but one of the new features in 2.0 is that you can extract the last frame from a finished generation and insert it as the start frame for a brand new multi-shot sequence, so the second clip picks up right where the first one ended. I'll pull the final frame of my previous generation and drop it in as my new start frame. Then I'll update the emotions in the director's panel for this second half. I'll make the Earthbender Chief, another character I made, disgusted, the girl shifts to joy, and I'll write 6 new prompts covering the villain's reaction and the aftermath with different camera moves to match the change in tone. And here's the result. And that continues directly from where the first one ended. The character consistency holds, the courtyard looks the same, and the emotional shift from action to aftermath lands perfectly because the director's panel let me reassign each character's emotion between generations. Now I can put both sequences together, add some effects, and here's the final video, made in under 30 minutes completely with AI. The manual multi-shot control is what makes all of this possible, because that one feature is what lets you direct individual moments instead of letting the AI figure out your scene on its own. And once you pair it with emotion control and end frame chaining, every 12-second block becomes another piece of a longer sequence you can keep building on. So I've left a link to Cinema Studio 2.0 in the description below, go ahead and give it a shot, and I'll see you in the next one.